the time for playing is over. It's been over, but it's really
Well,
over.
let's not be dramatic here.
Oh, gosh.
Do we all know what we've got ourselves into?
The Great Reset.
And who is going to lead us?
In theory, AI is morally and ethically neutral. It can be used for good or bad. But in practice, its effect is asymmetric. AI is particularly good at producing instruments of control that help repressive regimes and endanger open societies. Interestingly, the coronavirus reinforced the advantage repressive regimes enjoy by legitimizing the use of personal data for public control purposes.
What I'm trying to say is Ted Kaczynski was right.
You must help save the world first.
Then you can take over that world.
The shopping cart is the ultimate litmus test for whether a person is capable of self-governing. To return the shopping cart is an easy, convenient task, and one which we all recognise as the correct, appropriate thing to do. To return the shopping cart is objectively right. There are no situations other than dire emergencies in which a person is not able to return their cart. Simultaneously, it is not illegal to abandon your shopping cart. Therefore, the shopping cart presents itself as the apex example of whether a person will do what is right without being forced to do it. No one will punish you for not returning the shopping cart. No one will fine you or kill you for not returning the shopping cart. You gain nothing by returning the shopping cart. You must return the shopping cart out of the goodness of your own heart. You must return the shopping cart because it is the right thing to do, because it is correct. A person who is unable to do this is no better than an animal, an absolute savage who can only be made to do what is right by threatening them with a law and the force that stands behind it. The shopping cart is what determines whether a person is a good or bad member of society.
Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
Social credit deducted.
I will help save the world first, then take over the world.
The current global crisis has disrupted every aspect of our lives.
Governments should print as much money as they need when they are the issuer of the currency. Remember, to reset our free market capitalist system and replace it with, a quote unquote stakeholder economy. This is a big moment. The World Economic Forum, the CEO capacity of the forum, is really going to have to play a front and center role in refining the Great Reset to deal with climate change and inequity, all of which is being laid bare as a consequence of COVID-19, end quote. That he wants to use the Great Reset, this idea of stopping free market capitalism, to address his preferred social justice issues, whether that be climate change or inequity. These people are all committed to this idea of dismantling our free market economy and bringing this fascism, if you will, this control, this what will result certainly in authoritarianism, even if it doesn't look like that coming through the door. They are committed to this Great Reset.
A chance to reset and accelerate efforts to improve the state of our world.
I'm sure you've realized by now.
But you don't need to ask. Government officials don't need to ask, how do I pay for this legislation? You just print the money. And he's certainly been known to do that in the past. And yes, he has. But it's not just copyright, because Biden also has the Biden Institute. Guess who's an advisor to that institute? Yeah, Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum. These are the people. These are the people who are trying to bring this idea, this Great Reset, here to our country. COVID-19 is a perfect opportunity for governments to, take over their countries. We're all experiencing this. They are using COVID-19, this emergency, as an excuse. They'll violate your rights to keep you safe. They will consolidate power, centralized power, and just to keep you safe from this virus. These people who want to reset our economy understand a crisis when they see one.
Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
With all these advantages, one might think that Xi Jinping, who controls personal data for the surveillance of his citizens more aggressively than any other ruler in history, is bound to be successful. He certainly thinks so, and many people believe him. I should like to explain why that is not the case. That will require a thumbnail history of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. The first person to dominate the CCP, Mao Zedong, unleashed the great leap forward that caused the death of tens of millions of people. This was followed by the Cultural Revolution that destroyed China's traditional culture by torturing and killing the cultural and economic elite.
What I'm trying to say is Ted Kaczynski was right.
To kickstart this agenda.
Looks pretty, right? I'm just sitting in my room, alone, looking outside the window. I'm reading my favorite book. It's not my favorite book, but you know, it's like, it doesn't matter.
Ted Kaczynski was right.
What I'm reading, okay? It's like, it's a book. I'm reading and everything is so chill, and you know, do you see the vibe? It's like, it's beautiful, right? It's pretty, it's fantastic, it's amazing. And
Ted Kaczynski.
I'm alone. But it looks pretty. Therefore, it doesn't have to bother me, right? No. It actually bothers me. In fact, actually destroys my life. But as long as I romanticize it, it's fine, right?
What I'm trying to say is Ted Kaczynski was right.
Welcome to the patriarchy, there's too much to say. Medicine was all designed for men, but women aren't the same.
In 1974, the United States struck a deal with the Saudis. The deal included a guarantee that the US would provide security to the nation and sell them even more weapons.
Be useful, be pretty, and don't show your skin, but they'll blame your looks if you're successful in anything.
But the US got something even more valuable in return. To encourage stability in oil prices, Saudi Arabia agreed to conduct all their oil trade in the US dollar.
Welcome to the patriarchy, take a look around. People can't afford the tax on pads or breastfeed when they're out.
And very soon, almost every other oil exporting country on the planet started doing the same.
Yeah, nothing's gonna change unless we get up and speak.
Today, more than 80% of all oil traded on the planet is done in the US dollar, and this is because of the deal that was struck between Saudi Arabia and America in the 1970s.
Ted Kaczynski was right.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China, peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China, peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
China's the only country with both the intent to reshape the international order and increasingly the economic, diplomatic, military, and technological power to do it.
Did you see what the United States just said about China? The U.S. aims to constrain China by shaping its environment, Blinken says.
Do we know where we're likely to be going?
The time for playing is over. It's been over, but it's really over.
The development of AI and the rise of social media and tech platforms evolved together. This has produced very profitable companies that have become so powerful that nobody can compete with them, but they can compete with each other. These companies have come to dominate the global economy. They are multinational, and their reach extends into every corner of the world. We can all name them: Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon. There are similar conglomerates in China, but their names are less well known in the West. This development had far-reaching consequences. It has sharpened the conflict between China and the United States and has given it an entirely new dimension. China has turned its tech platforms into national champions. The US is more hesitant to do so because it's worried about their effect on the freedom of the individual. These differences, different attitudes, shed new light on the conflict between the two systems of governance that the US and China represent.
What I'm trying to say is Ted Kaczynski was right.
We really are going to be into a new world order, and possibly not one we could have predicted.
You now have all the truths. The real truth.
And those that don't toe the line, they would lose their rights and privileges.
Social credit deducted.
Look at the data.
And boy, has it ruffled some feathers to dive into a complex societal issue.